broadcast when you're ready to go.
Here?
Yep.
Okay.
There we go. Start broadcast is now live. So I'm going to hit you to do. You got it. You got it.
We don't need to hit this one here.
Yes, you do. I'll close the door first.
Maybe that's why. Okay.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Weekly Shot No Filter, your weekly webinar for Better Homes and Gardens, Mason-McDuffie Real Estate. And with me today is Matt Cord. As many of you know, Matt is the regional manager for the, I don't know, Matt, what are we calling it, East Bay? If you're East Bay, what the heck am I then?
No, I think Rob has named it West Bay.
Oh, now you're
First time I've heard that. Oh God, don't show that picture.
No.
Can we move off that?
You look heavier there, and you're wearing your dad's jacket. That looks.
I think Michael Lee just called me fat. I'm never doing the show again.
No, I don't know what it is. You say you're lighter in that photo.
I think I definitely was lighter, and I think to compensate for that, I took a larger person's jacket and put it on. So.
That might make sense. So today we're going to talk about out-of-the-box marketing ideas, and if you've got an idea you'd like to share with the group, or you have a question for myself or Matt or anybody in the group, we can throw it out. Please feel free to type it into the chat box on the right-hand side of your screen. All right, Matt, so we're talking about creative marketing ideas. Go ahead and give me one.
All right, so I think and feel free to chime in on this too. Is most of the out-of-the-box marketing ideas that we have, it's really all designed to generate more leads for your business, right? I mean, that's
exactly.
Pretty standard. So what we've seen is, and this is what I started to run into, is there were those that were either just breaking into the business or were trying to ramp up their business. And they would come to me and they'd say, well, listen, I know there's my sphere of influence, right? I can always go to my database. I can start marketing to them. What else can I do? And then,
well, what if you're just starting out, though, Matt? You don't have much of a sphere of influence, especially when it comes to real estate, because you haven't sold anything yet.
So I think there's two items there, right? I mean, there's one, the experience versus who you know. What I generally try to do, certainly with newer agents, is there's this initial, I don't know anybody, I don't have any leads, I don't have any clients.
Right.
The first thing that I want people to get over is the fact that the people that you're having discussions with may not necessarily be the ones that do business with you. But
what do you mean?
They may tell other people about, well, for instance, if I'm going to tell my mom and dad that I'm into real estate now, they may not be in the market to buy a home, right? And that's fine.
What are the chances?
Right? That's totally fine. They've been in their house for 20 years and not going anywhere. But if I educate my mom and dad enough, I can get them to tell their friends or other people that they network with that their son is a realtor.
Yeah, it's not like they don't know anybody.
Well, of course. I mean, the thing is your network, let's say you come to me and you say, listen, I only know 50 people. That's it. That's all I know. But if each one of those 50 people know two other people themselves, your network just expanded tremendously. And that most people know more than two.
And I think the two is good because, I mean, you could have a buyer or you could have a seller.
Sure. And this is really kind of rough guerrilla math, but I've always felt this. I've always felt that if your database has worked well, and by that you've got a very, very coherent database, you know who your A group, your B group, all the way through, if you're hitting them at least once a month, that 1 out of every 10 in that database, 1 out of every 10 is going to be able to either give you business themselves or refer business to you. So for me, I look at some of the foundational elements we have as those are a must before you start getting out of the box, right? Let's get the foundational items of your lead generation business in line, and then we'll start looking at some of the other things that we can tweak.
All right, but what do you mean A, B, or C group?
So for me, and I think we all, break these down similarly. For me, when I have a database, I want to know who needs the most attention. And I think everybody in that group needs attention, but they need it in different ways. My A group is the group that they're closest to me. These are the ones that love me, would back me no matter what. I could have done horrible, horrible things in my past, and they're still there to support me.
They must be related to you, Matt.
Generally, that's kind of the rule of thumb. I mean, when agents come back to me and say, hey, I've put my A group together, and I've got 130 people in my A group, I'll usually tell them to go readjust, because the A group, really, these are your very, very best friends. These are your parents. These are your siblings. These are the people that are in your inner circle, right? Those are the ones. Generally, a smaller group, you work with that group a little bit differently. They just need gentle nudges on how to refer you, but they're going to do it. There's a B group that's probably that second tier, which I think a lot of us try to work into, and actually, if we could move them up into an A group, that's what we want to do. But these are people that, you've worked with in the past. They're college friends that you're still in touch with, but maybe you don't talk to them every week. They're still people that, with a bit more encouragement, are willing to back you as an agent, but need more frequent touches from you to let them know what you're doing. C group, now this is kind of networking groups, right? If you're in a book club, if you're, join a gym, if you're in a tennis group, it's kind of a networking circle that may or may not know tons about you. They may like you. You may have some common interests, but they may not even know that you're in real estate. So your breakdown from your A's, B's, and C's are very, very different, but no less important in how you grow your business.
Beautiful. So those are the most basic to start with, and I think most of us know that. It's certainly great to remind us of that. So what I want to do now is I want to start jumping off into what we promised our folks, though, is sort of the out-of-the-box thinking. So I'm going to give you one, then you give me one, and we'll just go back and forth until we either run out of gas or people start doing things, start giving us questions or
start hanging up.
There you go.
Either one.
There you go. Though we're doing well. We've got a record number of people on the line, which is great. So let me just make a suggestion to our audience. Everybody holds open houses. And in your area, Matt, what time do they hold open houses?
I mean, the standard for most people is the Sunday 2 to 4. I think we've seen a gradual expansion of that, and I think for a lot of our group, there's a twofold process. One, we try to do the Saturday open, which generally accomplishes the neighbors. You get the neighbors through that tend to be most vocal about their opinion on the house, whether it's priced too low or too high. Almost never do you get the ones that say you priced it just right. And then Sunday for the general public. But 2 to 4 seem to be the standard hours.
Okay, so in my area, it's 1 to 4.
Overachievers.
And my suggestion is whatever time, whether it's 2 to 4, 1 to 4, think about starting a half hour earlier and staying a half hour later. So in my area, I suggest to my agents that they hold properties open not 1 to 4, but 12:30 to 4:30. Now here's why. And a lot of people go, oh, why should I get out there that early, It's worth it. I call it the golden hour because it's an extra half hour beginning, half hour at the end, and it can really pay big dividends. So who comes to your open house at 12:30 to 1 before most of the other open houses have opened, Matt?
I'm guessing those that are already in the area.
Yeah, people coming from church, people that are just, going on their way to other open houses. It's a great way to catch people who are real serious. And then who comes afterwards? So 4 to 4:30.
I think you're getting the people that may be at the tail end of their home tours already. They have seen a handful, they may be heading home, and they see one that's still open, and they stop by.
Absolutely. Or how about people who saw your open house earlier, looked at other open houses, and now knowing that your house is still available, come back?
Ooh.
Now, people who see the house more than once, what does that do to your chances of selling that puppy?
Oh, absolutely.
Goes way up. Goes way up.
I'll piggyback on this a little bit, and then I think we'll probably, as we get further into the show, we'll give kind of bigger and more out-of-the-box ideas.
So you're saying that one's not so out of the box?
I like it.
You should hear my agents when I suggest it. What do you mean a half an hour earlier and later?
No, I think it's a great idea. I mean, again, if everybody's holding the house open from 2 to 4 and you're doing something slightly different, the chances of capturing more people go up exponentially. One of the things that we've talked about in the past is taking the idea of the open house and bringing it off, not in just to non-traditional hours, but non-traditional days. We had an agent a few years back that was new in the business, was a great person for the office, in the office every day, but was realizing, he's like, well, the odds of somebody walking into this office, past our receptionist, out to my desk to ask me a question was pretty low. So he started holding midweek open houses, and he would go in with his laptop. He would tether it to his cell phone. He had everything he needed. He's got phone, his laptop, and he'd put an open house sign on a Wednesday. And he would
Wednesday? What time?
He started early. He would start as early as 1, but he'd go until 7. He would sit there all day. This was his commitment. And he said,
if he's going to sit in the office anyways, why not just sit in the open house?
That's exactly right. And here's the thing. He said, hey, listen, if I only got people that came, if I got 3 people that came by, that's 3 more people than I would have met if I had just stayed in the office. And it worked fantastically well. So he went with, listen, people are always curious, right? And he actually started to shift it to a little bit later to try to catch people coming home from work. And he started doing this multiple days a week. It was 80% of his business, just sitting in these open houses waiting for somebody to come
80%
by. 80% of his business.
On off hours.
Off-hour open houses.
So get the heck out of the office and make your open house your office.
Isn't it such a double-edged sword, though? You and I are constantly trying to drive people back into the office for the energy, and now here we are telling them, get out.
Well, what could you do? You can't win for losing.
Exactly.
Actually, interestingly enough, I have a note from good old John Stiles.
Oh, God.
Guess what he says?
Here we go.
He says, hey, Matt, how old is that picture? I commend you for following the company's new direction. Little head, big body.
John, we'll talk offline. Unbelievable.
All righty. Well, let's try something that's totally out of the box now. And again, if our audience, if you folks have got ideas or questions, type it into the question box. Thank you, John, for that one. But Matt, let's go totally out of the box. I know you've got a couple of really great ideas. Give us one.
Okay, so these are a few of the things. Actually, we brought some of these up in the managers meeting that we had done a couple months ago. This one, it may have even trickled back to agents. I think some managers have retold this. I have actually told this story a bunch of times, not only because I was totally impressed with it, but also because of the fact that nobody does anything with it. They all think it's a great idea. They go, this is incredible. And then I circle back and I'm like, so did you do it? And everybody says no. So we'll start with this one. So we had 6-7 years ago, we had an agent that was relocated from Boston to the Bay Area. And it was his wife that had relocated. He'd been a very successful agent in the Boston area, knows nobody out here in the East Bay.
And that's not unusual. People
No.
move out here all the time or just get into the business and they know no one.
Sure. The guy loved the profession, too, wanted to stay in it.
But he was a realtor before.
He was.
Okay,
He was.
so he had some experience, but he had no connections.
Born and raised in the Northeast. Everybody that he knew was there, even though he had let everybody know, hey, this is what I'm doing. If you know people that are
Yeah,
relocating.
but what are the chances?
Right, exactly.
So what did he do?
So he was another guy. I mean, suit and tie guy. His suit probably fit better than the one in my picture. But he was in the office every day. He was working on his own campaigns to generate leads. But after having been a very successful realtor, being very, very busy with real estate-related activities, he was just sitting there dying. He just didn't know what to do. So at some point, he's like, listen, I'm going to get out, and I'm going to go try to meet people the best I can.
So what did he do? Stand on the street corner and pass out
Yeah,
cards?
a little better than that. I mean, I think that has some merit too. He went to the local Starbucks and he chose Friday mornings, and he went to the cashier and basically gave the cashier $100 and said, listen, I don't care who comes in, but the next $100 worth of coffee is on me. I want to pay for it. Now, if anybody wants to say thank you or acknowledge me, I'll be sitting right over there in the corner. Cashier says, fine, we'll take the money, we'll do it. People start coming in to buy their Starbucks. And the cashier tells them, hey, listen, actually this coffee's on the gentleman over there in the corner. He said, if you want to say anything, go ahead. And the people that would get the coffee would come over and they go, hey, thank you for doing this. Why are you doing it? And he would go, well, funny you should ask. I'm a realtor in the area. I'm just trying to get my name out there. I figured that this would be a great way to give back to the community. If you know anybody that would be interested in buying or selling or just interested in more real estate related information, please have him call me, and he would give his card. So the 2 months that he came to our office and did nothing, didn't have any business at all, from the time that he started doing this, he closed 22 deals in 10 months just from this. And here's the interesting part about it. It was 1 day a week, 1 hour a week. $400 was the total marketing budget, and he did 22 deals with it. And after every deal, he asked them, "Did you meet me at the Starbucks? Was this how this came?" And over half of them said no. So people who had actually got his business card had handed his business card off to somebody else, and they had contacted him.
Wow. And
It's
that
crazy.
was 2 months?
In 2 months, he had done nothing. In the following 10, he did 22 deals. And this was it. That was the extent of his marketing plan.
So $100 is probably going to last about 30 minutes at Starbucks if you're lucky. But that's a pretty good investment. I know people that spend 4 times that on internet marketing a week
Easily.
and get nothing.
Right. And here's the thing. I think the hard part for most of us is we're all looking to put our marketing dollars somewhere, right? I'm very firm in the stance that you should spend about 10% of what you make and throw it back into marketing. I think that's a great idea.
Where does that number come from, Matt? From your marketing background, or what? 10% of your gross commissions should go back into marketing.
Right. So I feel like if your commission check is 10 grand, I think that you should spend 1,000 back into marketing. And really, basically, this is a business practice that is not germane to real estate. This is pretty functional through most of corporate America. This is what they try to spend. Now, some go far, far higher, right?
Yes.
Those that are, Coca-Cola is all marketing based, that they're going to spend huge amounts of money. But those companies that are trying to do a standard business that are public facing, they spend about 10% trying to get their business up and going and at least reaffirming what their brand is.
But doesn't it depend on how long you've been in the business? So, for example, a newer company tends to spend more money on marketing than someone who's been around a long time, a Coca-Cola or somebody like that.
That's a great question. We've actually got the inverse problem, right? So
As realtors?
Yeah, as realtors. So most companies that start up are well-funded. They're bringing their company public. There's a lot of, energy behind it. And again, there is capital to a lot of this. Most realtors coming in, they start writing checks immediately, right? It's to the board, it's to us, it's to E&O. They're all trying to get their business up and going, yet they haven't received a commission check yet. So to go sit there and say, hey, listen, I want you to spend 10% of nothing, great. There it is.
That's a bit of a challenge.
It's a bit of a challenge. So initially, you've got to figure out, and I think this is for agents that are either new to the business or those that are trying to either increase or maybe rebound from a place they were. Maybe the business has fallen off. You've got to be smart with what you're going to do with your money. The great example with this guy going to Starbucks is he was going to be there no matter what. He knows that everybody that is busy and a working professional is going to be going through Starbucks at some point too. If he could capture even a fraction of the people coming through for a marginal cost, this was how he was going to get things going.
Wow, what a great idea. And again, we're talking about getting people out of the office, but what the heck if it works?
Listen, here's the thing. Selfishly, I love people in the office because
I do too.
It's great for energy, but I would trade people in the office for every one of our agents making the income that they want to make in a heartbeat.
And I think you and I both know the most productive people are rarely in the office.
It's true. It's
and
true.
If they're in the office a lot, I'm concerned. I do want to remind folks that if you've got an idea for a new program or maybe a guest you'd like to hear on our radio show, type your suggestion into the question box as well. And if you have questions for Matt or myself on out-of-the-box marketing ideas, type it in. Or if you've got an idea, type that in as well, and we'll read it back to folks on the air. But there's a lot of great ideas out there.
That's a good point. For those people that are listening, this is for you, right? This radio program is designed specifically for you. So if there are things that we're not hitting on or ideas that we haven't touched yet that sound relevant and important, let us know.
Please. All right. So you gave us a great one. How about this, Matt? How about going to a senior center and volunteering your time to give seminars on how to use an iPad, how to do digital photos, maybe a basics of how to email and get on the internet, things of that nature. I found that for our agents to be extremely effective.
Interesting. So are they able to go and drive business from a group that's at a senior center? Because there's part of me that's going, okay, they're already in the senior center. Maybe this isn't the target audience for people to buy.
Well, don't forget, senior center is not a nursing home. These generally are active seniors who live in the area. They come together for camaraderie, maybe a little romance, because romance is not dead when you're a senior, I hope.
That's the theme of our next show.
There you go. And, these folks are at some point in time going to be selling for one reason or another.
That's
now,
interesting.
obviously, they have to downsize. Some of them will, as all of us will, eventually die. But, it's a great way to go. And a lot of our agents have built up a great business just speaking to seniors. Because when you're speaking, there's this sort of cachet. You're thought of as the expert. You get instant credibility. And even if it's only a group of 15 or 20 seniors, it's a great way to go. So if that's your thing, teaching, perhaps, think about it.
It's really interesting. I mean, again, certainly not equating the senior center to a nursing home. I've always looked at that demographic as kind of a static demographic, right? That they're getting to a point in their life where change is not big. That there's, they're not maybe actively downsizing, but to know that there really is that much movement in that area is great. I mean, that's just another huge untapped area, I'm sure, for people to get business.
Absolutely. And again, it's particularly good because these folks are going to be needing to do something with their real estate, either sell
Right.
and or downsize. So now you got two transactions.
Right. No, that's great. That's fantastic. Here, this is an idea I actually got from Seth Godin, and I don't know if anybody's read any of his books.
Purple Cow.
Right, exactly. I mean, huge marketing guru, fantastic speaker too. If you ever get the chance to watch him, he's incredibly entertaining. But he had done a lecture specifically for realtors and had said, here was his idea. He's like, listen, I would, at the close of every escrow, I would go to my buyers. His emphasis was on buyers in this one, and I would buy them something amazing as their closing gifts. Now, I know agents have their own. There's you've got Mitch from Cutco, and you can get the monogrammed knife that you give. There's some people that will buy the home warranty. There's small dinner gifts, whatever. He was saying go huge, right?
What do you mean?
He would say, listen, I want you to get your buyers a 50-inch flat screen TV. I want you to spend $1,000 on this thing that is big and is going to be in their living room and that they're going to get great use and enjoyment out of. And we all kind of thought, well, hey, this is kind of, over the top, right? And maybe we're saying, hey, look how much money we've made. We can buy you this really expensive gift. And his idea on this was, hey, that's not it at all. The idea is you want this new buyer's friends and family to come over and go, wow, what a great house. And, oh, my God, you got a new flat screen. And for them to say, well, actually, my realtor got it for me as a closing gift, which would allow the kind of networking realtor conversation to take place post-sale between people when you weren't even there.
There's a thought, although, what do you think people think when a realtor gives them a really big gift like a flat screen, curved screen TV, something of that nature? What do you think they're thinking?
But here's the thing. I mean, Seth Godin's thing was he was totally of the belief that I don't care if you think or your buyers think that you make too much money that you can afford to do this. That wasn't the point. His thing was you're going to go over the top with a marketing gift that's so spectacular that it's going to do nothing but spark other conversation. Now, I know you've talked a lot about the sort of diversity and there's being different cultures where they would see something like this and go, oh, now you're just rubbing it in my face. His take was, it's the same reason you do the Super Bowl commercial, right? You were trying to go over and above what any other agent would do, hence you go big, right?
Right.
What are you going to do? So, again,
What's a thought?
It's a thought. I'm not of the marketing ilk to be able to argue with Seth, and I've never tried it myself. I do know that we have an agent in our office who has gone with a bigger gift setup since she saw this talk as well.
And how's it working?
Killing it. She has been in our top. She's number 2 in our office right now, having done, I think at this point, well over 200 in GCI. She is a big proponent of this, and she's got a very tactful way of delivering it. She's very engaged with her clients. I think there's an entire relationship that's developed that'll let you know whether this is doable or not. And again, I think that we've got to preface this with everybody. Our out-of-the-box suggestions and ideas are to get you thinking, We're not necessarily saying, hey, go do this now. Michael's not telling you to do a 5-hour open house. I'm not telling you to hang out at Starbucks and buy everybody coffee. But it's primarily designed to make you think, can I do anything over and above just hitting my sphere of influence, just doing my farming, just doing my internet leads? Are there things that I can do that make me stand out from the crowd? And it's, in defense of Seth, he is thinking bigger than most of us do, right? I mean, I wouldn't go that route. It would make me uncomfortable. That's not the way I'm wired. But for some people, it's exactly how they're wired, and they're totally okay with doing that.
Well, makes sense. For me, though, when I'm thinking about $1,000 flat screen, I'm thinking, okay, my tax bracket is 50%, so in order to have $1,000 to buy that flat screen, I had to earn $2,000. So, okay, I can't help it. That's the Asian in me. Anyway, just a reminder.
Watch me not add on to that.
If you would like to ask a question or give us one of your great marketing ideas, just type it into the question box on the right-hand side of your screen. I do know an agent who has a really nice closing gift, and it might be, one of those wine and cheese or chocolate and cookie gift baskets. I mean, a real big one, like 75, 100, 125 bucks, delivered to the client's office.
Right, yeah.
During the day. Mm-hmm. So what do you think happens then?
It forces everybody to walk by their desk and say, hey, who sent you that?
Yeah, how did you get that? Oh, my realtor gave it to me. I think what we're talking about is the key is just to get people talking about you and talking about real estate, and my realtor did that for me.
That was a big thing. I mean, early on when I got started, that was a huge, even if you were just sending flowers to the client, there was always this. And again, as we talk about these gestures, I mean, let's be very clear. Some of this really has to be from the heart, right? You've got to be sending flowers because you appreciate it. If you were sending flowers or you were sending gifts for the 100% goal of them talking about you to other people, you may be missing the point a little bit. The idea is being able to provide great service. The idea is trying to get as many people as you know or don't know yet to know that you're the area expert, that you're the realtor of choice, that you're somebody who actually cares about their needs. So again, if you're sending your wine and gift baskets and flowers, you're buying the flat screen, and the entire gesture behind it is just get me more business, you're going to fall flat.
Exactly. I think that's a great point, Matt. It's got to come from the heart.
Yeah.
So let me give you one. One of the big things in our office is career apparel. Oh. Wearing something that says Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate all the time, which means a badge is fine. It's a little commonplace and it's a little in your face. What we tend to do is we like polo shirts when you're going to a picnic, golf shirts if you're golfing, and I even have dress shirts with the logo right above the pocket, just like you would find a polo logo. I mean, how much is Polo paying you to market for them?
Oh, yeah.
So instead, I've got the Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate logo there, just where everybody else has Polo. And people then come up to me at the store. I even have at the gym, I have a workout shirt. It is wicking and all of that stuff. It's really comfortable. And
it says BHG?
It does say BHG on it. Yeah. And because everybody else is wearing, Nike and things of that nature, why shouldn't I do something that markets me instead of these other companies who don't need my business? And that there's an NAR statistic that very few people know about. And here it is. If you wear career apparel on a regular basis, that means not just when you enter the office, which is nuts to me, because nobody in your office is going to say, hey, I need a realtor, because they're all realtors. But if you're walking around, going to the bank, shopping, whatever you happen to be doing, getting your car serviced, if you do that on a regular basis, NAR says that you will get 2.5 extra transactions a year for nothing.
Who doesn't need that?
Who doesn't need another $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 in income? And so those shirts are maybe $10 or something else of that nature.
Yeah. So have you tracked for you or for your office how the career apparel has it started conversations? Has
Yes,
it actually led to
it
business?
has. It has. We're getting more than the 2.5. We're averaging real close to 3 right now.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's just incredible that, these little subtle things will get people talking. Hey, hey, what's going on in the market? Is this a good time to buy? Is this a good time to sell? Well, as realtors, it's always a good time to buy and sell, of course.
It's an interesting thing. I mean, there is some geography-based identifiers here. I mean, we're in an area that name badges are almost never worn, that career apparel is almost never worn. So I'm very interested in knowing that this has actually led to increased production for you guys.
It has, and Matt Francis is asking a question. He wants to know,
where did I get my jacket?
Yeah, where can I get my jacket, my shirt, my hat, my whatever? What we do, obviously, what we plan to do here at Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate is to expand our career apparel store. I know Elizabeth De La Cruz is working on that right now. But my problem has always been with the offices that I've managed and owned, Matt, is, we go ahead and we order these things and they don't fit, they don't look right, the color's not what it showed in the catalog. So here's what I do with my agents today. I say, go and get something that you enjoy wearing, fits you, is the color you want. And then what we do is we go out and we have them embroidered. For certain pieces like your golf shirts and those things, my dress shirts are embroidered. And for things that are stretchy like my workout shirt or T-shirts, then they are screened on. And they look fabulous. Our embroiderer has all of the templates for Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate. They look fabulous. And so now you're wearing something that you would normally wear anyways. It fits you right.
Right.
It's the color you want, and all we had to do was put the logo on it. So no problem with that, Matt. Just tell your agents, get what you want. Find yourself, I guarantee, in San Francisco, there's a ton of embroidery companies, and many of them probably already have the logo. If not, all you do is shoot them a copy of the logo, and they can take that and then either embroider it or screen it on. It's real easy to do. We use a company in Livermore called Embroidery and More. There's places all over. There's Embroid Me, which is a franchise throughout California. So anybody who's listening to this, it's really easy to get your career apparel and just start walking around with it all day long.
I got to imagine it's pretty cost effective as well.
Oh my God. I think it costs us, let's see, $8 to have it embroidered and $5 to have it screened on. You want to talk about cost effective? Yeah. And I assume you got to wear clothes anyway.
Most days in our office.
But they could even screen on swimsuits, I assume you're talking about, and away you go.
That's great. That's a really good idea. It's funny, and it really is. I mean, I think this is so area specific. Where there are areas where I see lots of name badges, and some where I see none. But it's certainly, at the very least, is going to be a conversation starter.
Oh, and that's the key, especially for our agents who don't like to market or are a little bit shy.
Yeah.
They don't like going up to somebody and saying, hey, had you thought about buying or selling real estate? Hell, I don't like to do that. It sounds really pushy. It sounds like sales. But if I'm walking around with either my badge on, because then people at the bank are like, oh, are you in real estate? No, really? But now they all know I'm in real estate.
Right.
I've had literally, swear to God, tellers call me over out of line. Michael, come on over here. These people are thinking about, they just moved to the area, they need a realtor. Do you think you could help them out?
Well, there's another idea right there. Just hang out at the bank all day with your name badge.
Yeah, there you go, and buy them coffee too.
So yeah, I think it's funny. I've got a couple of these things, but I think on the conversation piece, this one is this one is so over the top simple, but I think it goes in line to what you were talking about before, where we come into this career, we start to figure out ways to be a really successful entrepreneur, which is not easy, right? I mean, the idea and the thoughts behind being a realtor, they're not difficult, right? They're not difficult, but they're not always the easiest hurdles to get over. We had an agent back years ago in our old company that was was very shy, felt very uncomfortable moving the business friendship meter, in a very comfortable manner. She was uncomfortable going to talk to friends and family and saying, hey, oh, by the way, if you happen to know anybody who may be buying or selling in the next 60,
I hate that.
right? So
Yeah.
she was like, I don't know what to do. And it was killing her. So she changed one thing in her speech pattern, one thing, and it was as a realtor. And so what would happen is somebody would come up to her, they would have a conversation, and they would say, hey, God, this weather we've been having is amazing. And her response would always be the same. As a realtor, I have to be outside all the time, so I can't tell you how much I appreciate this sunny weather.
Or I can't tell you how much the rain stinks when I'm walking from house to house.
Right?
But then they start saying, oh, are you a realtor?
She said without question that would happen more times than not. She would buy a nice pair of shoes, and people would say, well, God, those are beautiful shoes. And she'd say, as a realtor, I'm on my feet all the time, so I actually really try to buy shoes that not only look good but are comfortable. So she would put in, as a realtor, as often as she could in these conversations, and it felt like a very passive way of getting the information out there that, hey, I'm in real estate, I do real estate. If you've got real estate questions, I'm somebody that you can ask.
So anytime anyone gives you a compliment, all you simply do is reply, instead of just saying thank you, which most of us do, and then it goes nowhere. All you simply say to them is, well, as a realtor, and then you just finish it up with something that makes sense.
For her, it was two things. I think for all of us to be really effective at any kind of marketing, there's a level of comfort that has to exist, right? We were talking about being genuine with your closing gifts. People can spot those that are either very, very insecure, or they can tell whether you're not comfortable in what you're doing. For her, this felt really comfortable. It did two things. One, it let them know that she was a realtor. Two, it carried on the conversation. Hey, the weather's great. And if I go, yeah, it's really sunny, okay, I just ended that conversation. But if I put in something, the weather is amazing, and as a realtor, I'm outside all the time, so I have just enjoyed not having to deal with any, inclement weather. All of a sudden there is a conversation piece that gets started.
That is wonderful, especially for people that have not a clue how to work that real estate subject into their conversation.
It's tough. I remember. This is ages ago when I first started. I came out of corporate America. I was in software. I had been doing it for a long time. I had made this transition in, and it was the same way. I really felt uncomfortable going to friends and family and saying, hey, I'm in real estate now. If you guys know anybody, it would certainly help me out if you'd pass my name along. Even something as passive as that dialogue felt really uncomfortable to me. We had a bunch of friends that had gotten together. I was probably 4 months in the business at this time. We're sitting at the dinner table. There's probably 10 of us. To my left is the best man at my wedding. To my right is another friend from college. My friend on the right asked the guy who's the best man at my wedding, hey, do you know a realtor in the East Bay? I'm thinking about moving from San Francisco into Berkeley or Oakland. And my best man here leans over and gives them a name that is not mine. And I had been in business for 4 months.
Oh, that's got to tear your heart out.
No, I think I just reflexively slapped him and then yelled at somebody else. But I realized, I'm like, this is my fault, right? I have gotten to the point where I have been uncomfortable enough in asking for support in my endeavor that now people don't even know I'm a realtor, right? I've become the secret agent that nobody knows about.
That's terrible.
It's brutal. So for me, I really the switch flipped for me when I had another friend who took over his father's plumbing business, and he had come to me and said, hey, listen, I know you're in real estate. I know you guys need vendors all the time. Would you be comfortable if they asked for a plumber of either just, including my name in the conversation? And I realized right there that, yeah, absolutely. I wanted nothing more than for this guy to succeed. And so I was able to start to change my own dialogue with my friends. It was still very passive, but letting them know with some regularity, hey, I'm still doing this. I'm still creating and running my own business. If there's anything that you guys could do to help facilitate this, I'd really appreciate it.
Wonderful.
So
what a great way to go.
Yeah. It does, a lot of this, it really is, in any time of out-of-the-box marketing, you're talking about trying to get comfortable with who you are and what you're doing.
Yes.
And generally, it's not the same thing for everybody, so you get to see these extremes. And these, I think, are some of the examples we're bringing up.
Wonderful. Well, all of us as realtors need to send letters to clients, right?
True.
What's the most efficient letter you could possibly send to a client that'll get read? Probably.
I don't know.
How about handwritten?
I love the handwritten.
The problem is I send out hundreds of these a month. And many of us have pretty big farms, 400, 500, 600 people. How would you like to be able to send those letters handwritten every month with no more extra effort than you already spend?
I would love it.
Well, did you know that there's actually software? Now, I'm not talking about cursive fonts because everybody knows those are fonts. And they can tell that's all you did was push a button. I'm talking about having your handwriting turned into a font that now becomes electronic.
Ooh, I like it.
And now anything you could do with Word, like mail merge, so you can mail merge their addresses, you can change to Dear Bob, Dear Mary, Dear Sally. Everything you can do with Word, you can do with this font because it's a regular font, just like Helvetica, just like Times Roman. It's Matt's font.
I like that.
It's incredible. And so,
Now, how do you do it?
Well, you just go online and you buy it.
I didn't even know that software existed.
I use one called V-Letter Pro. It's like $179, although if you're interested, I can get you a discount. See me.
It's all who you know.
But it's just amazing the response you get to these. I used to send these when my mother was alive, all the letters, because I just don't have the time. I love my mother dearly, but I just didn't have time to sit down and write these handwritten letters, so I type them up, hit the font, and she thought for years I was sending her handwritten letters.
There we go. How to fake out your mother.
I-
There's a new program.
I think it accounted for my inheritance, I hope.
Oh, boy.
But I mean, my point is that it was so good, she had no idea it was a font.
That's great. And we've talked about this a bunch, and the fact that most of the physical mail that we receive now is, they're bills, right?
Yep.
It's marketing material that we don't care about, new credit cards, you're pre-approved for an auto loan, things. Most of this stuff ends up being in your hand just long enough to get to the recycling
Yeah.
box. That's about it. But you see an envelope with a handwritten address on it, you always open it. You
Yeah.
always open it because, listen, letter writing now with the advent of email has gone by the wayside. Very few people do it. So when you do get one, most
open
people
it.
tend to open it.
Okay, so now let me guarantee that every letter you send to your clients will get opened.
Is it because it's a postcard?
No. Even better. Every holiday, there's holiday cards, right? There's Labor Day coming up.
Sure.
That's not a big card-giving holiday, but obviously we've got Thanksgiving, we've got Christmas, and other, religious holidays coming up around the December time. We've got New Year's, you've got Chinese New Year's, you've got Valentine's. But the stores that sell them, the stationery stores, other than the big chains, do you think they sell all of those greeting cards, Matt?
No.
Not a chance, because, they didn't have the one that said my son, it said my daughter, I
Right.
can't buy that one.
Yeah.
So what do you think they do after the holiday is gone?
Oh, I don't know. It's a good one.
They return them for a credit. That's why they're all barcoded.
Oh, interesting.
But they don't return the envelopes because who cares? They're not barcoded. You can't get a credit for it.
Right.
So what do you think those stores do with all of those colored envelopes?
Don't know.
They throw them away. You can't recycle them because, number one, they're in color, and number two, they have glue on them. So they're non-recyclable.
Interesting.
And they hate throwing them away because they know they clutter up the environment. So what I do is I go into my local store. Now, you can't go into like Hallmark because they have an agreement with their franchisees that they'll take the envelopes back. But almost every other store, including I've gone to CVS, Walgreens, Papyrus, all of these little stores that have greeting cards, and I say, hey, do you have any extra greeting card envelopes I might be able to have? I'm a realtor and I could use them for sending these to clients. And I get boxes and boxes
Wow.
of them. They always have
Good
a big
idea.
envelope with them. And the clients will always open them because, number one, I use my handwriting font.
Sure.
And so it looks like I hand addressed each one of them. And why will clients always open those, Matt?
Because we don't get handwritten letters anymore.
Yeah, and it looks like what?
A card?
A card, an invitation, a birthday greeting.
Sure.
And it's always a different color, maybe even a different size every time they get it. It drives my clients crazy, but they're always wondering, where does he get all of these? It's
That's a good
amazing.
idea.
So think about doing that, just being a little more out of the box. And again, just a reminder, if you've got ideas or for new programs that you might want to hear or guests, please type those suggestions into your question box on the right. In the future, we're going to have guests talking about things like the new rules for 1031 exchanges, disclosures that you've got to make, how to do business planning for 2015, how to do social media as a realtor. Those kinds of topics will be coming up, but we'd love to hear your ideas as well.
Yeah, again, I mean, just to piggyback on this, the show is for all those that are listening, right? We want to make sure that we're doing right by you, so let us know what's most important.
Absolutely.
So, I'll again, just to go off of one of your themes here, and certainly the multicolored envelopes, we had a group, and I don't think this is as out of the box as much as it is talking about being incredibly consistent and persistent with what you do, right?
Yeah.
Any successful marketing plan, any successful lead generation plan, it's time on task, right? It's very hard to have the marketing initiative that you send out one time and it's successful. This is stuff that happens because you do it over and over and over again. Part of your success with the envelopes is the fact that you're sending these all the time. Right now they're guessing, oh, here's another one from Michael Lee. It's in a yellow envelope. It's in a pink envelope. What's it gonna be this week? So I think it's a great. There's really nice emphasis placed on the fact that you're doing this consistently.
That's the key.
So one of the things that we had, and this was a group actually out in your area. They were doing it in Danville. Two friends, they got into real estate limited funds, right? They knew that they wanted to do this. They wanted to do this on a big scale. They just didn't have the money to go and spend what they wanted to get their name out there. So they decided, listen, what we're going to do is we're going to farm. And the way we're going to farm is we're not going to mail anything. We are going to walk and place our flyer on the doorstep right now.
Right.
Not putting in the mailbox, just putting it on the
Boy,
doorstep.
that's really inexpensive.
Right? So here's what they did. They went to the Copy Central, whatever was local, and they said, listen, we need the cheapest paper you have. I mean, literally the cheapest, the thing that doesn't sell.
It's going to be some ugly color, Matt.
It was bright yellow. It was bright yellow, and they put this weird kind of blocky font on it. But it basically was introducing who they were as a team, and they would walk this. Get this. They would walk their farm 5 days a week, 4 hours a day. That's what they did every single day.
Oh my God!
So
that's like a full-time job,
right? I think their fitness level went through the roof, and
of course,
they had chosen a farm that was big enough, and I think they were close to the 1,000 range that they actually only got to each store 3 to 4 times a year. Right? So they would go out there, but they would do it. They were seen in the neighborhood all the time. Everybody started to identify them by the yellow flyers. They would see that yellow flyer, and they would know exactly who it was. And it was amazing because the peace of mind that they generated from not only being seen in the neighborhood, but the identifier of this bright yellow paper meant anybody that was thinking about agents in their area always thought about them. They're like,
wow.
Oh, yeah, we get these guys that send out this horrible yellow piece of paper, but, here's their name. They would put it out there. These guys became top producers not only in our area, but for the company that I was with prior, nationally. They were making so much money. They did nothing but this. They've gotten to a point now where they could spend whatever they wanted on TV ads or billboards or whatever. They still walk their farm. They still drop off the yellow pieces of paper.
I'm surprised the printer didn't start charging them a premium for that yellow paper.
They probably shopped around.
Well, let me tell you how I got started in real estate. You want to talk about out-of-box marketing?
Yeah.
It was an accident totally because I was part-time. Oh, wow. I was a television producer full-time for ABC Television, but I wanted to get into real estate because I thought it would be fun, easy, and you could make a lot of money like a lot of realtors think before they get into the business.
Right.
But I was an avid snow skier. And so every weekend during ski season, so this would be from, it depends, late October all the way through March, I would go up skiing in a bus, 51 people in a bus, and we would go up skiing for the weekend. We'd stay up for an evening, maybe at Squaw Valley or Heavenly or someplace like that, and we'd all ride up in the bus 4 hours, ride back 4 hours.
Right.
Now, the thing that made me successful, now, don't tell anybody else, Matt. This is between you and I.
You and me. And John Stiles.
I have a very small bladder. And it made me incredibly successful because about an hour into this bus ride, I had to go to the bathroom. Now I also get a little car sick, so I'd sit towards the front behind the driver, so if I can see the road coming at me, I'm good. But if I sit in the back and these bumps hit me unexpectedly, sort of like an earthquake, I'll get car sick. So I'd be sitting in the front of the bus. After about an hour, I had to go to the bathroom. Now, where's the bathroom on a tour bus, Matt?
It's got to be in the back.
It's way in the back on the left-hand side. Now, I was a little shy at the time, and I didn't want people to know I had to go to the bathroom. So I'd get up before I really had to go, and I just started talking to people as I sort of edged my way towards the back. Hey, how long have you been skiing? Have you ever skied at Squaw? What do you do for a living? And I just asked them a lot of questions about themselves. And after I asked them what did they do for a living, what do you think they asked me?
Always, right? What do you do?
And then I do a little real estate. I help people buy a home for less than they ever thought they'd pay, and I help them to sell a house for more than they ever thought they could get. So how about that neurosurgery? Doesn't that take a lot of training?
Right.
And every single ski trip, never intending to talk about real estate, I sold somebody a home or bought them a home. Every single trip and more.
I mean, most of this is just being able to have the conversation. And now, certainly everybody that is listening right now has got more insight to Michael Lee than you ever thought
no,
you would
you mean
get.
there's more people listening than you and me? Oh,
maybe,
my God.
maybe.
Oh,
well, here's part of it, too. I think, most of what we're talking about here is the marketing is designed to get you business, right? Lead generation.
Yeah.
This is designed to get you business. And really what we're trying to, I think, convey with some of this is figuring out where your comfort level is. And here it is for you. You were taking a hobby that you enjoyed, something that you were doing regularly. You had a captive audience. And then you had a specific circumstance that kind of led to the conversations that you were having. But you were put in an area that you felt comfortable. And it becomes a much more real conversation.
And people could identify with me and relate to me instantly. Why do you think? We're all
Doing the same
going
thing.
skiing.
Yeah.
So we all had at least something in common. Right. And so whether it's skiing, golfing, playing tennis, or bocce ball, or whatever you do, I hope our listeners would take some hobby that they really enjoy doing and turn it into a farm. Yeah. Because one of the keys to farming is consistency. You talked about that. Well, you'll do it if you enjoy it. So if there's something that you're already doing, like skydiving, whatever, if it brings you into contact with people, get involved. And then what I did was I got even more involved. I would start leading ski trips so people got to know me. I became the president of the ski club so people got to know me. So it helped me even more beyond just doing the ski trips.
Right, right. I mean, I think with a lot of this too is we're actually in an occupation that, good and bad, most people think they know something about, right? You mentioned neurosurgery, and most of us have to shut down right away and go, oh, dear God, I have no idea what's happening there. But real estate, again, conceptually is not hard to figure out. And the fact that it touches just about everybody in some manner means that they're willing to have some conversation with us. Most of the time, the hang-ups that I see are with the realtors themselves, right? It's a lack of comfort. It's a lack of belief. They're not 100% confident either in who they are or what they're doing. And that's, a lot of this is just trying to figure out how can we get you in a sweet spot that you feel comfortable enough having these conversations. Your example here for the skiing, my wife and I belong to a gym in the East Bay, and they're basically group classes, and it's a fairly tight-knit group. I think there's only probably 200 or 300 people total at the gym. She has done 7 deals just by being a member there, and we have never once had the conversation of, hey, listen, I'm a realtor, if you know anybody's... Never once. And it's just been one of those things that goes, two people have a conversation, they're like, oh, you need to go talk to Jennifer, or you need to go talk to Matt. Yeah, oh, you're getting ready to sell, you need to go talk to them, just because we're in a group that's very like-minded, right? There's a lot of people doing similar things, and you just can't beat that.
But you do it consistently because you enjoy it.
Right. I mean, my primary means of being there is because it's my happy place, right? I like to go there. I like the people that are there. It allows me to de-stress. But tangentially, you start to find out about people. And I think, your idea of asking people what they do, and you know this technique also. We used to talk with our newer agents when they would start to have their first phone conversations. I'm like, if you have no idea what to say, stay with the Ford principle, right? It's the FORD. Ask them about their family. There's the F, right? That's all we want to do. Hey, how's the wife? How's the kids? What's going on? You want to ask that. Ask them about their occupation, right? Hey, what do you do? Because what's the answer every time? Hey, how's work going? Work is great. How about you? Okay, I just got an open invitation to talk about what I do.
Beautiful.
Now, the R is the recreation part, right? Now, this is the hobbies. These are the other things. I tell everybody to stay away from D, which is supposed to be like, it's supposed to be dreams. Don't do that. That gets kind of weird and creepy unless you really know them well. So maybe it's just the 4 technique for most people. But your identifier there of being able to say, hey, what do you do, or how's the job, is always an open invitation for them to ask you back.
That's the key.
Yeah.
But you got to get in front of people. So I think we've given out a lot of great ideas. Maybe we'll do another one because I don't think we've exhausted all of our ideas.
No, and I'm sure there's tons out there that we haven't even heard. So.
Yeah, well, we've talked about open houses, just going to Starbucks and buying coffee, closing gifts, working with seniors and other groups like that, writing personalized letters using software, social farming. So how do any of our listeners take just one of these ideas and implement them, Matt? Because earlier you talked about, all of these great ideas, but very few people actually use them.
Hey, I mean, the hardest part about any of this, and not to belabor the point, is there's got to be a real belief in what you're doing and the services that you offer. If you feel that there's a lack of legitimacy in the career that you're in, that's going to come through. If you feel there's a lack of confidence in the information that you have, that's going to come through. Most of the agents that I talk to, neither one of those are correct. They actually know a ton. They actually do believe they're providing a really good service. Now they need other people to know about this. The thing that anybody that is listening to the show needs to anchor in on is find one and work it. Keep doing it consistently, whether it's a weekly, whether it's monthly, but it can't go longer than that. Any one of these things, if they are only done once every 3 or 4 months, will have a net zero effect for you. It just won't work the way you want. So figure out the foundational elements that we talked about in the beginning, whether it's contacting your database, your sphere of influence, whether it's your internet lead generation, whether it's your farm, and work those things religiously. If you're not getting all the results that you want, start getting creative. Start figuring out what are the things that I like to do, where do I like to be, how do I like to interact with people, and see if there's a crossover between that and what you do.
I think there's a tendency for us to actually give too many ideas. Then people get confused.
Pick one. Pick one.
Okay, so I pick an idea. Now what do I do with it?
I try to work backwards with a lot of these things. If I'm going to, pick a farm, right? There's certain things that I want to do to make this thing work. First, I'm going to find an area that's large enough, right? If I pick 5 homes, what are the odds that one of those homes are going to sell?
Not too good.
Not so great, right? So not only do I want to pick an area that's large enough, I also want to see how many homes sold there in the last year. Is there enough turnover and activity to make it worth it?
Now, what do you feel is a decent turnover rate?
If I could get something that's in the 5 to 8% range, I think I'm doing pretty good. You're not trying to capture everything. You're just trying to capture, potentially 2, 3, 4 of these. Unless it is 100% the only thing that you're going to do, then we're talking about that 1,000-home farm, right? And for there, hey, I really may be looking at a 10% turnover rate in that area because of the 100 homes that sell. I got to figure that there's other realtors that are going to grab a piece of that. But man, if I only got 20 of those 100 homes, that's a really, really good year.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So for me, I try to work backwards. I'm trying to find out what percentage that I actually want to get, and then I back my plan into it. If anybody's listening to this and is trying to figure out what they want to do, I'm first picking my comfort level because if I'm comfortable with it, I'll do it all the time. If I'm not comfortable with it, I'm not going to do it.
So you got to find something that's comfortable for you.
Yes. It's got to be you.
And then so how can I be accountable, though? I mean, I have lots of great ideas, but how can I be sure that they get carried out? What's your technique for that?
Look, there's 2 things that always work. I mean, one is find somebody else to do it with. I guarantee you.
A partner, a friend.
If you are trying to grow your business and get more of what you want, there isn't shy of 10 or 15 other people in your office that are trying to do the same thing. Here's the other part of it. There isn't a manager in any one of your offices that doesn't want to see you go crazy, right? Just do as much business as you could possibly do. Tell them. Don't ask them. Tell them. Say, listen, here's what I'm doing. Here's my plan. I want you to meet with me Friday morning at 9 o'clock, and all I want you to ask me is, what did I do this week?
Beautiful.
Do it.
Accountability.
That's it.
That's really, really crucial. Well, thank you so much, Matt Cord. This has been a fast hour, believe it or not.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Oh.
I'll get another picture next time.
Yeah, would you please? Because
Yeah.
otherwise, John Stiles is going to kill us. His fingers are going to fall off from typing.
Yeah, tell John I'm driving up to Santa Rosa right now.
All right, he's on his way, John. So I just want to remind you to finish the year strong. Make the next 4 months the most productive 4 months of your career, as we talked about today. Just take any idea. It doesn't have to be any one of the ideas we talked about necessarily, but take some idea, implement it, and then have someone hold you accountable for making it happen, and you'll have the best 4 years of your career. I promise you. Next week, Monday, is a holiday, my friend.
That's right.
It is Labor Day. So we're going to take Monday off like I know many of you are. I hope you'll rest and recreate and come on back the following week. We've got a great program for you and throughout the rest of the year. If you've got an opportunity or a comment, please let us know. You know how to reach any of us. You've got Matt's email, my email, michael.lee@bhghome.com. Be happy to hear any of your idea. And John Stiles says he'll be at Starbucks all day long. Thanks, everybody, for coming and listening. We'll talk to you in 2 weeks. Take care.